anyone could look at the Eagles in the quarterback position and say, wow, whatever coach was behind that, we got to give that guy a promotion. We got to move him up to offensive coordinator.
Live from the Prop Swap Studios on AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio, it's The Fix with Ryan Rothstein, presented by Prop Swap. Prop Swap that ticket and cash in while the odds have improved.
Rothstein was a hell of a handicapper. I can tell you that.
Right now, if you ain't ready for a fight, go ahead and go home. Because that's what this going to be for full court. A fight. We always win when we fight together. That's how winning is done.
Now get out there and do it to it.
Pulls up, three-pointer.
All right, here we go. Third and final hour of The Fix. I'm your host, Ryan Rothstein. What's happening? We're live inside the Prop Swap Studios of AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio. Thanks again to John McMullen and Simon Hunter from the Action Network for jumping on board with us for a few minutes here tonight. We have Sean Green, co-founder of Gambling Podcast. He's about to join us here in just a second. Just got done messaging with Sean, so he's about to call in, and we'll get Sean's thoughts on Carson Wentz and the Eagles. We'll get his thoughts on the NFL season and what he's up to now in the betting world. So let's bring Sean into the conversation. Happy to have him. First-time guest, and I'm sure this is a huge deal for him. I know he's a big fan of Atlantic City. Sean, follow him on Twitter, at Sean T. Green. Like I said, he's out in Cali. I have to find out where Sean is from originally, Delaware Valley. Sean, what's going on, man? Thank you for jumping on board tonight.
What's happening? Yeah, no, it's always good to be back on the Atlantic City airwaves. Many a night spent down there doing some hashtag DGens only type activities. So, yeah, when you hit me up, definitely excited to come on. Yeah, I'm originally outside of Philly. I basically say Philly because no one in California has heard of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. But, yeah, I'm originally from Bethlehem. But I usually just say Philly because it's easier to explain. But, yeah.
All right, there you go, Bethlehem. Yeah, I used to live out in Cali, so I get that. It's just easier to say, yeah, Philly. Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't even know where Atlantic City is, so that tells you all you need to know about AC. All right, man. So I stumbled upon the Gambling Podcast a few months ago, and I love what you do. I think you guys do a great job. Just fill me in on just how you started it, why you started it. It just seems like you and your boy just, talking about your bets. Eagles fans. I think he's a Giants fan. But just fill us in on your background and how you got that up and running.
Yeah, no, it was all the way back in 2011. And again, I moved out to LA from Pennsylvania, do stand-up comedy and TV writing and stuff like that. And then one of my roommates, a guy I became friends with, he's a big sports guy as well, a huge Giants fan. And again, kind of being in LA, it's not really like football country. So when I could find another guy that it was also down to watch 9 hours of Red Zone and set up like 6 TVs, we became really good friends. And obviously watching that much NFL, we have a lot of action on it. And, it was just kind of when podcasts were starting to come out, and we're like, I'm sure there's other people that want to hear us break down the betting lines. I mean, this was like early on when Cousin Sal and Bill Simmons would do guess the lines, but then they really would never kind of give their picks on the lines that they were guessing. So we kind of took that and we're like, yeah, why aren't we picking every single NFL game? And after we did that, transitioned into the other sports and stuff like that. But yeah, that really was the start of it.
At Sean T. Green on Twitter, at Gambling Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review, SeanTGreen.com. All right, man. So you're a Philly guy, Bethlehem to be exact. I need your thoughts on Carson Wentz, your quarterback. That's your guy.
Your quarterback. I was the ultimate Carson defender for so long. Carson was responsible for my biggest win all time in sports gambling. I got. Now this will sidetrack, but it's probably worth hitting on because it kind of paints my picture of how I feel about Carson. So 2017, opening day against the Redskins, me and my crew go out to Vegas every first week of the NFL and just, watch games and bet all day. and put in the DraftKings lineup, and I had Wentz in there, I had Zach Ertz, and I had Eagles defense. If you remember the game, Wentz had like a huge game. It started out with like that 50-yard bomb to Aguilar for a touchdown. Eagles win the game, and really, the one key play was kind of towards the end of the game. They sack Kirk Cousins, they pick up the fumble, they return it into the end zone for a touchdown. Sportsbook goes crazy. I mean, honestly, being not biased, it probably wasn't a fumble, but they didn't have enough to overturn it. I open up my phone, I look at my DraftKings app, and I'm in first place, sitting on $1 million with my DFS lineup. Now, all my guys had gone in the early afternoon games. I got to sit through the late games. I'm watching the late games. Scott Tolzien throws a pick six for the Colts against the Rams. The guy behind me had Rams defense. He throws another pick six. That knocks me out of first place from winning $1 million to winning $200,000. And then I had to watch this was back when they included the night game on these Millionaire Makers. And I had to sweat out the Cowboys-Dallas game. Luckily, Odell was a late scratch, and I won the $200,000. So he was very close to my heart, not only, just being a huge fan of Wentz and what he could do, but the fact that he helped me win all that money, I was pretty biased towards him. But even me, the Carson defender, halfway through the season, it was just, this guy doesn't have it. I don't know what else you could say. Like, he just completely kind of lost his mojo, his juice. Clearly his confidence has been rattled, and I'm with Carson. I thought the Jalen Hurts pick was kind of stupid at the time. I think I was with a lot of Eagles fans. Like, what are you doing? Why are you wasting a second-round pick on Jalen Hurts? Wentz is supposed to be our guy. But then also, that being said, he's got to kind of buck up and play well regardless. Like, Aaron Rodgers, they draft Jordan Love. Again, I think that was a bad pick, but Aaron Rodgers didn't let that rattle him. So now, you hear the reports about him changing plays at the line of scrimmage. It's clear he wants out, and you just got to pull the plug and move on. It seems like he'll probably end up with the Bears or the Colts, but I'm fine giving Jalen Hurts a year to kind of see what he does, and then if he's not the guy after that, then draft a new receiver. New quarterback. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of covered a lot of ground there. But yeah, I mean, I was the biggest Wentz fan, but at some point you kind of have to realize it's over, unfortunately. Crazy. I was telling my buddies, I can't think of another player in Eagles history that I had such a swing in how I felt about him, from just thinking this guy's the guy for the rest of my life as an Eagles fan. He's going to go down as the franchise quarterback too. Now I just can't wait till they finally trade him. It's been a crazy downfall.
It's unbelievable, and it's like only in Philadelphia. And I agree with everything you're saying. I loved Carson 2016, 2017. Obviously, before he got hurt, he didn't win me 200 G's, but I still was a fan. And now it's like 3 years removed from being on Broad Street celebrating that parade. Carson,
I know.
Like, dude, we don't have a head coach. We don't have the head coach that got us there. We don't have the quarterback that got us there throughout the regular season. So I want your thoughts on the firing of Doug real quick before we get to some other betting stuff. And Sirianni now leading the way.
Yeah, I mean, it was clear that the Doug Carson thing wasn't working. I probably would have been fine with them just trading Carson and keeping Doug for another year. But, I mean, really the guy they have to get rid of is Howie Roseman. But apparently the guy's the Teflon Don. He's not going anywhere. And so I would have rather them fire Howie Roseman if I had my druthers. But, when Doug Peterson says he wants to make Press Taylor the offensive coordinator, and that's a part of his plan moving forward, I mean, that is him just basically saying, I want to be fired. I don't want to work here anymore, because no one could look at the Eagles in the quarterback position and say, wow, whatever coach was behind that, we got to give that guy a promotion. We got to move him up to offensive coordinator. I think Doug, you can make fun of him being an idiot sometimes, certainly, but saying that, that he wanted Press Taylor to be the offensive coordinator, that was just him forcing his way out of the organization. I just don't think he wanted to be the head coach anymore. He was tired of how he's meddling and dealing with the media and all the other drama that was going on. So Sirianni, I'm kind of cautiously optimistic. I was more just relieved it wasn't Josh McDaniels. because I wouldn't know how to spin that or be positive about it. I mean, I think the positives about Sirianni are that he kind of fits the profile of the type of people that Jeffrey Lurie has hired so far in his tenure as owner. And, we've had our ups and downs with coaches, but everyone under the Jeffrey Lurie tree, essentially, or coaches he's hired, have left with a winning record. So that's kind of a pretty good streak. And I'll give Lurie and Howie the benefit of the doubt, although, honestly, this is like the first year and just the handling of this Wentz situation where I started to have my doubts about Lurie kind of as an owner. And if I sounded like I gave Howie Roseman any credit there, I certainly don't want to do that. But I'm optimistic enough. I'll give Sirianni a shot. Honestly, picking the coach out of these guys, like, you never really know how they're going to perform as a head coach until they're actually in there. His press conference certainly didn't help his case. But, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, it's like, Sirianni could work out great, but it doesn't mean Jeffrey Lurie and Howie didn't screw this thing up. And, I don't know what happened with Jeffrey Lurie. And I asked people who have been covering this team for a long time, even during Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb years, I'm like, I feel like Lurie wasn't this type of problem. He wasn't this type of owner back then. Things were going so well. And now, like, if I'm Doug, like you said, he had to just get sick and tired of the meddling between Lurie and Howie Roseman. Like, all right, enough's enough. These guys are just, they're puppet masters.
Yeah, and it was so obvious if you follow the team, like that weird stuff with Jason Peters wanting more money, and then, he's going to play, but then clearly they were still paying him. Like, it seemed pretty clear that any bullets that were basically going to Howie Roseman or Jeffrey Lurie, they were kind of putting Doug P in front of him and treating him as like a human shield. And as Eagles fans, for years we've made fun of Jerry Jones and the kind of his hands-on ownership style, and he's involved in the roster, and then it's starting to sound like there might be a little bit of that going on with Lurie, and the fact that Howie Roseman is involved in setting game day rosters is just kind of insane. And there's certainly been obvious moments where, why is Mac Hollins still on the team? Because Howie Roseman made him a 4th-round pick. Like, there's just very, very obvious stuff like that where it doesn't make sense football-wise why they're still playing, but sometimes, I mean, the fact that roster decisions were being made just for Howie Roseman to save face is kind of insane. And I don't know why Jeff Lurie has such a blind spot when it comes to Howie Roseman. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, neither do I. And we'll see what happens here with Carson and Sirianni and all the drama and madness. Talking with Sean Green. Follow him on Twitter at Sean T. Green, co-founder of Gambling Podcasts. Great stuff there. Be sure to check it out if you haven't already. All right, man. So NFL season in the books. Super Bowl done and over with. Tom Brady gets another one. What type of better are you? I mean, you just mentioned the big payday with the fantasy lineup a few years back, but like, NFL season's done. Are you all college hoops? Are you NBA? Like, what's your go-to now that the NFL's done?
Yeah, I as soon as football ends, I kind of dive head first into college basketball. I'll kind of ride college basketball here. Like, now is a good warm-up area, and then really start going conference tournament, and then go crazy March Madness, and then kind of after that, I'll pivot towards the end of the NBA and then NBA playoffs. I mean, messing around with NBA regular season right now, it's at this time of year, it's kind of precarious, although Sixers have been looking great. And I do think there's some value in them, or even Embiid, MVP, or even them to win the East or win the Atlantic, some futures there. But game to game, I'm just kind of looking at college right now. And then, I'll be transitioning later to NBA. But, that's kind of the slate right now.
What are some teams in college hoops? I don't know how much of the futures market you focus on, or if you're just more of the, spreads and night-to-night totals, whatnot. But sleepers and March Madness, like you mentioned, I don't know how much of the futures market you do, but just who's a team right now that's not named Baylor or Gonzaga that you're looking at to make a run?
Well, yeah, and this isn't the homer in me, but I think Villanova, I gave them out on a serious show the other day, but Villanova at plus 1,400 is really interesting to me. I mean, especially in this kind of weird COVID season, to have a guy like Jay Wright with that kind of experience, and especially, if some of these blue bloods manage to get into the tournament, I mean, certainly they aren't gonna make a crazy run. So, yeah, if Villanova can get win a couple games in the tournament and get to the Elite Eight, Final Four, I think they'll be in a great position because I imagine the teams they'll be going up against probably won't have that coaching experience that Jay Wright has. I love the senior guard they have, Gillespie, and the big man they got. He's a solid addition. So I really like this. I really like the Villanova team, honestly, at plus 1,400.
Yeah, Jay Wright and that squad, they're always ready to make a deep run, and they're at the top of the odds board, and there's still some value there to take them and just to keep an eye on them, in general, to see what type of push they make as the tournament is already inching closer. February 10th, it's going to be here before we know it. All right, so you mentioned the Sixers, and we'll end with this. Joel Embiid, second best odds right now to win MVP. Doc Rivers, the new head coach. Do you have any faith that Embiid could actually win the MVP award this year?
Well, here's the thing. One, it is a narrative-driven award, too, right? So I think voters want to try and not give it to LeBron. Joker's putting up crazy stats, so he's kind of got them to compete with. But, I mean, I'll say this. Right now, they're right up there, top of the East. If the Sixers end up being the number one seed in the East, how do they not give it to Joel Embiid, I think is really the question. Because, and you see the splits of when he's in there and when he's not, and it's huge. You don't want to go too crazy on it because Joel Embiid and his health and just what goes on in the Sixers, I don't want to jinx it. But, yeah, I mean, at plus 500 or whatever it is right now, I think that's a decent bet. And certainly an interesting one. I think there is LeBron fatigue. So even though he's probably the favorite right now, I think if they end up being the number one seed in the East, I just don't – I don't see how he doesn't get it. If you're looking for like a crazy long shot, Kawhi Leonard. I would throw Kawhi Leonard in there. He's like 30-1, 35-1. With Paul George being out and Kawhi kind of having to put that Clippers team on his back, at 35-1, you could talk me into a much crazier bet than this. Kawhi Leonard, he's been playing well, putting up decent enough stats, but I just think he'll really have the opportunity to pad his stats with no Paul George there. And again, if they end up beating out the Clippers there for the number one seed, or if the Jazz cool off a little bit, I think if they can get the number one seed, they're certainly interesting there in the West as well.
Yeah, I mean, Kawhi, it's never a bad bet to take Kawhi. He's 40-1 out here in Jersey on DraftKings, so that's
yeah, I mean, 40-1, that's kind of crazy for a guy. Now, listen, he's not getting any buzz right now, so again, the MVP market is really like a heat index for NBA players. But I think I could see him really getting some heat if he ends up carrying this Clippers team and making a little bit of a, kind of even getting up to that number one seed. So, especially with no Paul George.
Yeah, no Paul George. He's going to have to do a lot more of the work there, and Kawhi's a robot, so never a bad bet. Sean,
the claw.
Yeah, the claw, and that laugh, legendary. Sean, I appreciate it, man. I thank you for jumping on. Co-founder of the Gambling Podcast, great stuff. Follow him on Twitter, like I've been saying, at Sean T. Green, East Coast guy out in Cali doing his thing. I appreciate it, man, and maybe we can catch up down the road.
Oh, for sure. A lot of fun. Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby. Go Birds. There he is. Good stuff from Sean, man. Really good stuff. He's entertaining. He's been in TV. He's a stand-up comedian. Good personality, and he knows his stuff when it comes to sports betting. So, good guest. I'll get him on maybe in a month or two. So, all right, let's get to another break. Coming to the finish line here, going up until 10 p.m. We'll come back around 9:30. Much more still ahead on The Fix, live in the Prop Swap studios.